Hey, beauties. Good evening to you. Listen to me now, beautiful people. As it relates to relationships, back in the day when I was ignorant, meaning lacking knowledge, because that's what the word means. Let me reiterate, ignorance doesn't mean being incensed, it doesn't mean getting angry, it doesn't mean being infuriated. It means lacking knowledge. So back in the day when I was kind of ignorant to relationships, I figured that when you see people, for example, in a relationship, whether it's common law or married for a number of years, over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and sometimes, infidelity unfortunately takes place. Now, I do not subscribe to, nor do I advocate it. I shun infidelity because it is not only that it is sinful, I'm looking at the aftermath, the after effects, the betrayal, the hurt, the pain that this thing can cause, unfortunately, in some cases leading to death, destroying families, wreaking havoc, passing down generational curses, and the list goes on. But oftentimes, in some of the cases where you would hear, especially women say, "Do you know how far we've been coming from? I was with him when he had one shirt, one brief, one pair of shoes that was crooked and, tattered and torn and dilapidated and all of this. And, I stood by him and whatnot." But sometimes, in some of the cases, the men have been victimized by women. Yes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give the impression as though the men are just angels from heaven above, not fallen angels. But at the same time, we leave out 50% of the story. Sometimes when the men become wayward, we don't check ourselves as women. We don't see the kind of attitude we display. I remember reading in the book of Proverbs. I recently concluded it. I'm in Ecclesiastes. And I'm deliberately slowing myself down in reading it because it's such a powerful book. It brings you back into reality. Ecclesiastes. I would encourage people to read both Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. I'm wondering if it's the same writer or somebody who was inspired by the writer of Proverbs. I know Solomon, definitely is it. I think he probably goes all the way back to Songs of Solomon. And three times in one chapter, or three times in certain chapters in the book of Proverbs, almost back to back, it talked about a woman who is like a dripping pipe, that the man would rather be under a cellar on the rooftop, basically in the burning sun. He'd rather be, almost in something that is just horrendous than to be around a nagging woman. It's almost like she's likened unto a Jezebel. So I'm kid you not. It is horrible. There is something that is bitter and resentful about a woman who nags and complains, because it is like when the Bible talks about when there is strife, all kinds of evil presents itself. She then becomes unforgiving. She then becomes suspicious, overly suspicious. She begins to accuse. She doesn't stop yapping, out talks him, behave very vulgar, embarrasses him, humiliates him, put him down. We don't talk about that. Sometimes a man may stay because deep in his heart he really does care about her. He really does love her. But the relationship ends up on a plateau. So it just goes here, for example, and stops. It doesn't go any further. It goes here and it stops. It stops. So what ends up happening? He may not necessarily officially leave physically, but he goes out and have a number of relationships because he's seeking for just one moment of peace each day. I've seen relationships where people are married for over 40 years. I'm not asking that personally. And I couldn't understand why. I said, yes, that man is broken. I'm not saying no. But I've experienced, how do I put it? Just encountering the woman on a one-on-one basis, and I told myself I could not live. And I'm a female. I'm a female. But I could not live with this woman for one day. I said, oh my God, I can now understand the way how that woman behaved on something that I never thought the woman would, it was necessary. And I can be a little bit miserable and, when I'm ready, because we're females and, our hormones and how we are wired, we use more of the right side of the brain. It's just so many things. Maybe it comes with the territory of being a female. So we have to almost retrain ourselves with God's help in order to not become a nag, not to become a bitter person, not to be unforgiving, not to just yap, complain, quarrel, be cantankerous, and just bitter, awful to be around. I'm a female, I'm a straight, or what you'd call hetero, female, straight as they come. And it is scary. So can you just imagine the man who is not as emotionally tough as we are? We're not speaking the truth. So yes, you're there with him with the one shirt, the one shoes in it with the holes in it, begging bread, or there's a socks and always I say beg bread. And, whatever it is, yes, you may, because everybody's not all bad. But you're not looking at your complaining behavior. It is hard. Just think about the children of Israel when God delivered them. They were ungrateful. They were highly ungrateful. They also didn't believe. It's a number of things. And God made them go around a journey that should have taken a few days, just a little over a week. Was it 11 days? They went around, because I know I can just imagine, how God must have felt, because I know when you come across somebody who is very bitter, extremely ungrateful when you're doing very good for them, and they complain and they say horrible things behind your back, thinking that they can't say it behind God's back, but I'm just letting you know, in terms of a human sense, you don't want anything to do with them. You don't even want to speak to them. And I'm speaking as a human. And God tolerated them for a very long time because he's slow to anger. Remember when Moses looked and said to God, God, if you ever get rid of them, blot out my name out of the Lamb's Book of Life. Can you imagine the mortal kind of threatening the immortal in that sense? I use the word threat lightly. And God still honored how Moses fell for a moment. He must just kind of say, all right, I'm going to hold off, Still begging for them. So women, you're not looking at your bad behavior. You're not looking at your bad behavior. And it is displayed to women, towards women as well. But men are not as emotionally tough. They can't stand it. And as I said, in some cases, especially if it's it's not only, not limited to, especially if they're married for many reasons, maybe it's going to be costly, just the hassle of going through divorce and whatnot. They stay, but you get born. You get born. Worse than when, hot iron burn you. It, because the man is searching for peace, and I'm in no way, shape, or form lauding infidelity. I'm in no way, shape, or form lauding extramarital affairs. I prefaced this video by saying it is something not good because of the devastation it can cause. But I'm saying to you women, don't just run with the line. I was there with him, through this, through that, and the other. Look at who you are. 3 times I read it almost back to, if it wasn't in one chapter, it was almost, consecutively behind each other. I said, oh my God, this is very bad. This is so bad for the book of Proverbs to be speaking on this particular matter so often. Men hate it. And they will go out there and seek a little peace of mind. And obviously, it's going to lead into sex and starting a whole relationship. Don't get me wrong. Some of these men are broken, narcissistic, bad broke. Don't get me wrong. I've done videos speaking about them. Don't get me wrong. And notice I said some women, not all. But don't ride with this thing because you've been there through, for however long. How is your attitude towards him? That's what we also have to look at, women. Guys, sorry, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.